There's so many choices. There's this university, there's that country, there's so many things to think about and so little time. Hello Internet Explorers! Welcome to my channel. I am Saika, checking in with today's topic on how I chose the country and university I'm planning to move into. So we are now at episode 2 and I would just like to share with you guys the process by which I chose the country and the university that I plan to study abroad to. So what are we waiting for? Let's dive right into it. So there are certain considerations that I had to take into account before I actually scouted for the specific country and university and did all the legwork that I would plan to move into. So I'd like to share with you guys what those considerations were, and they could also possibly help you in what you should also consider when studying abroad. So the first one is think about your personal preferences. So we all have personal preferences depending on our inclinations and such, and it pretty much gives you an idea of where you would want to go. I really wanted to study in a European country. That was always like my dream. So when I was in high school, I did consider Japan before because I was a weeb, but it ultimately changed once I reached college, and up to now I still want to go to a European country. So there's that. And you obviously have your own preferences, so do consider them as well. Next, think about the course availability. When it comes to communication arts, where my undergraduate and my potential postgraduate program is more aligned to, there are several countries in Europe that have a wide array of choices that I could choose from related to such courses, which I'll discuss more later. Aside from that, Europe is really more focused on the sciences and medicine, so do consider also the course availability, especially if you have a very specific program you're looking into and where the best places to study them are from. 3, think about the language barrier. I don't come from a primarily English-speaking country, but I did grow up with English as like my second language. So I'm very comfortable in speaking English, in communicating English and the like. So obviously that takes a lot of precedence in terms of the countries I'm going to be looking into, because I'm just more comfortable talking in English. If you know a different language, you might consider going to that specific country. For example, if you know French, then you might be interested in other French-speaking countries, not just France, but also Canada, some parts in Africa and the like. 4, my favorite, consider the costs. Depending on how much you would like to spend on, do also check out how much it would take to stay in that place. Not just the university tuition fees and the like, but think about the expenditures you'll be expending on the everyday and how much it costs to just generally be in that area. Lastly, consider your safety. So I'm very particular with this because I really like to be safe. I really like to play it safe, to keep myself safe and all that. So I do look into not just the university, but also again the area where I'm living at, where it's located, and basically look up the statistics in terms of safety, crime, and the like. Now that I've shared my considerations, let's go into the actual things I did in order to finally choose my certain university and country. So first we have offline legwork style. I basically attended 2 study abroad fairs, and this all happened in 2019. So one was in the first half of 2019 and then the other was on the second half of 2019. So study abroad fairs are basically wherein local organizers bring in different universities from all over the world, where they set up small booths where there are certain university representatives and you can talk about the programs available, and if you have any other questions you can ask them and consult them right then and there, which is particularly helpful, especially if what you're inquiring on is very specific and can be hard to find online. For the 2 fairs I attended, they were all sponsored by UKS Philippines. This video is not sponsored by UKS, by the way. UKS is more focused on UK-based universities, as is said in their name, but they also invite other universities coming from different countries like Australia, New Zealand, other parts of Europe, and also America actually. But the lineup of universities is dependent on who they can actually invite on the specific dates of their fairs, and the lineup changes every time they have a fair, which is multiple times in a year. So you have a lot of choices in for you. So you can always attend as much as you want, so you can also see the different schools. Anyway, I attended two again. So the first fair was more on UK-based universities, and the second fair had more diversity. There was one in Denmark, there was Aarhus, I'm sorry if I pronounce it wrong. There were several from Australia, and then there were also several from the US. So I ended up going to both, and by each booth there are booklets where the courses are, the prices, and all their other specifications. You can always get one, and then if you have further questions, you can always line up, because there's usually a line, to talk to the person or the representative if you have further clarifications and whatnot. So I consulted more with a lot of UK universities, again because I really wanted to focus on Europe. I went to the Denmark one. I also went to the Australia one because it's an English-speaking country. I wasn't really interested in going to the US, so I didn't really go to a lot of US-based universities. So yeah, I basically had to clarify a lot of things. They're very nice people, very accommodating, and it's easy to understand them, so don't be afraid to approach them. They're there to help you. So these fairs basically gave me an inkling as to where I could potentially study, but again, I had to do more research in order to really have an informed decision at the end of the day. Also, just to note, since UKS had my details because you have to sign up online before you can join the fairs, they called me up and they basically asked me if I wanted assistance with my applications in university. So I said yes, and basically they assigned me a counselor who is going to assist you from the beginning up to the time you're gonna leave for your university, wherever it may be in the world. And guys, it's all for free, so it's definitely helpful, and I definitely relied on them a lot because they know more and they know the process more. They've done this 100 times, so yeah, it's really helpful to work with them. And I'm still currently working with them to finalize my visa and all that, which is a different video for a different time. So after all the fairs, I went home and basically researched more on the schools that I liked or had a good impression on me. So from the fairs, I considered one Australian university, which was ANU, two from Europe, aside from the UK, which was from Denmark, Aarhus, I'm sorry if I pronounce it wrong, and the Netherlands, which was from my personal research. So this was Maastricht University. Again, sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. And then all UK-based universities, which were several of them actually. So again, most of them I considered because they were English-speaking countries, and just simply because I preferred these countries, especially Denmark and the Netherlands, because they're so beautiful. I visited them there and I absolutely fell in love with those countries. But aside from that, I also really liked the programs they offered because they were more aligned to what I wanted. So I went into each of their websites, went into the specific program I found interesting, and looked into the courses that they offered. So under each program, there are several courses that they offer, like basically the classes, and I deduced which ones were more aligned to what I wanted, and basically ended up ranking them into the universities which I'll most likely apply in and the universities which I'll probably not apply in. This took me a month or two to decipher it, and I really think you need a month or two to ponder and think about it so that you can really make an informed decision at the end of the day, because you might as well apply for the universities that you really like or will end up liking, then go through all that and end up in a place that you ended up not liking at all. So that would be wasted effort. In the end, I decided mostly on UK-based universities. The top reason being that my undergraduate is media related and my postgraduate is marketing, but I wanted it to be more on the advertising and also a bit of the business side, and the UK had more programs that had a bit of the media and business side together compared to Denmark and the Netherlands, which were more focused on the business side of marketing, which is fine by the way, but you know, it was just my personal preference. Early on, I also decided to just not go for Australia because of personal preference again, and it's just quite near to where I'm living, so I wanted to go far away from this place. In terms of language, from my experience, Denmark and the Netherlands, even though they weren't primarily English speaking. They were very proficient in English, and all the courses they thought that I was looking into were all taught in English. So there was also that, so that's why I really considered them and really mulled over them as well. Of course, the UK, it's all English, so no need to question that part. In terms of safety, all of the countries were quite safe. I mean, I live in a third world country and all the places I considered were first world countries, so I think they're all relatively safe. No question about it. I did research about it, but of course I knew they were relatively safe. Going to the costs, Denmark was totally out of the question. It's the most expensive one. Netherlands and the UK were quite on the same level. So in the end, UK really won me over, and they also had more universities I could look into compared to Denmark and the Netherlands, which were one or a couple of universities. With that being said, my assigned counselor from UK said that I should apply for at least 3 to 5 UK universities, and I have to rank them based on which universities I would like to apply to most to least. So the top 3 I would apply immediately for, and then the top 2 are sort of like a buffer if I didn't get into any of the top 3. And it makes sense, so take note of that as well. You should have at least 3 to 5 choices. So I applied for Leeds, Strathclyde, and Nottingham for my top 3, and I forgot the other 2, but there were definitely 2 more others. For me, it was really either Leeds or Strathclyde. I loved both of them, and I was really excited to get in either one of them. So definitely either of them would be fine for me. I really like their programs for both. Leeds is just more famous because it's a top university in the UK, and again, it's found in England. As for Strathclyde, they have a really good reputation in their business school, which marketing is part of, and they're found in Scotland. And Scotland has always been my fantasy. I really wanted to live there and to go there, so yeah, I really wanted to stay in Scotland, and Strathclyde would offer me that as well. So either of them I really wanted to get into. So that's basically the rundown of how I chose the country and university I would like to attend. Always consider your preferences and other considerations besides, and always be prepared to at least apply for 3 or 5 universities. Give it time and really think hard about it, because this is a life-changing thing. And even if you don't necessarily have to get it right, it's still an important choice that you have to make. In the next episode, I'll be talking about the application process this time, what requirements you need to submit, and the like. That's it for today's video. Thank you so much guys for watching. If you have any questions and whatnot, do comment them down below and I'll try to answer them for you. Thank you so much guys for watching. This has been Saika, checking out.